Confession time, Metal Edition. Greetings, my name is Nina, Rockstar Wizardess. Welcome back to my channel. And in this video, I'm going to make 20 confessions. If you're new to my channel, I am a longtime metalhead. Here are 20 things that I am not ashamed to admit as a metalhead. Let's go. Number 1. The number of bands that I listen to on a regular basis is heavily limited. Yes, I claim to be a metalhead, however, I listen to on a regular basis to like 10 bands or something. Yes, you got that right. You can be a metalhead and listen to only a few bands on a regular basis. You know, it doesn't matter which subgenre, doesn't matter which bands. What matters is that you listen to a few metal bands on a regular basis, and yeah, I do think that this makes you a metalhead still. Number 2, even though I claim to listen to mostly certain subgenres, I'm not that deep into them. Yes, you got that right. I, for the most part, prefer the traditional heavy metal and also power metal. However, related to the previous points, the number of bands I listen to is limited, and to be honest, I kinda dislike a lot of bands from said subgenres. It's just that most music that I love most of all belongs to these two subgenres. Other bands that I really like belong to industrial metal and thrash metal. Number 3. As much as I love certain bands, I do not love all songs by them or even all albums by them. Yes, you got that right. You can be a fan of certain bands and only appreciate their discography to a certain extent. For example, I really like Black Sabbath. I'd consider myself a fan. Guess what? They stop for me after Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. And when it comes to Iron Maiden, I prefer only their 80s stuff. Okay, there are only a few bands that I can appreciate the full discography of, however, for the most part I listen to a certain period of said bands. In some cases I only love the early albums, in some cases I love all albums but the early ones. Well, you got the point. So even if I claim to appreciate an album, not all songs happen to be my favorite. When I say I have a favorite album, it means that I love the majority of the songs, and I'm willing to give the unappreciated songs another chance because they happen to be on that album I really like. Number 4, I do not pay attention to the lyrics that much. I only cared about lyrics at the beginning. I only cared about lyrics that deeply at the beginning because at the time I was so sick of your standard pop lyrics. I wouldn't say that lyrics do not matter to me at all. However, yeah, music comes first. Several songs, they were redeemed in my eyes because of the lyrics, because I listened to said songs and also read the lyrics alongside them, and yeah, some songs happen to be my favorites because of the lyrics. Number 5, I do not always know the names of band members, yet alone their biographies. Especially if these happen to be bands that keep changing the musicians like gloves. Okay, this was a very Russian sentence. In Russian language, there is the sentence to change something like gloves. It means to change something on a regular basis. Well, I like to say something like, Iced Earth keeps changing musicians like gloves. That's definitely the case for me. If I come across a band, I do not always know the names of the band members. I can't always tell them apart. I do consider it to be a sign that I am a fan of the band if I can tell apart all the members, at least in the current lineup. Well, for example, Half Alive, I do not know the names of the band members. I do not know nothing about these guys, at least so far. Okay, don't get me wrong, sooner or later I come to know the biographies of musicians. If I didn't care about band members at all, I wouldn't have bought and appreciated the biographies of the musicians. I own the biographies of Ozzy Osbourne, Metallica, and the Beatles, which I have yet to read. And I can't say that I do not care about the band members. That's not exactly the case. Music comes first. Number 6, I do not listen to every subgenre of metal. Like I said, I appreciate mostly heavy and power metal, and I really like some of industrial and thrash. Sometimes I even listen to death metal. However, the subgenres of metal that I do avoid, I do know very well that they are not made for me. Prog metal, Absolutely not for me. Goth metal? Nah. New metal? Sorry. I will not say that I will not add a prog metal or new metal or whatnot into my playlist. I can't say that I will not appreciate a song by these subgenres. However, I do not listen to them on a regular basis at all. I stay away from them. I am considering trying Dream Theater again. I listened to their Octavarium album back in 2020. Maybe I should give it another listen right now. Number 7. Sabaton fan right here. I will not name you the vast majority of historical events they sing about. I do really feel guilty a little bit about this because I have a degree in international relations and history should be my thing. It was my thing back in university, and yeah, however, this doesn't make me historically savvy. Yes, I really appreciate the fact that they took inspiration from history. However, I will not name you a historical event in detail. Yeah, this should be something shameful. However, I'm not ashamed to admit that. Number 8. I'm a booktuber and I tend to pay attention to books that inspired Blind Guardian songs. I have read most of the books that interested me. I also own two books that I haven't read yet, the Iliad and the Ten-Year Kings and the Magistrates. And there are three books that I really want to read. These are Once and Future King, Otherland, and A Wild Ride Through the Night. Number 9. I have zero interests in majority of bands that metal YouTubers talk about. Yes, I watch some metal YouTubers. I really appreciate Farvan. I like Bradley Hall. Well, at least I watch him sometimes. And recently I started watching a lot more Nick Nocturnal. And there were also some other metal YouTubers, but I forgot about them. But these three came to my mind: Farvan, Bradley Hall, and Nick Nocturnal. Okay, I'm absolutely not a black metal person, and I still watch Farvan. Bradley Hall and Nick Nocturnal, they kinda discuss the more mainstream metal bands. For some reason, these bands failed to catch my attention. Sure, I'd still watch videos, but by these YouTubers, I'd still appreciate them. However, most of these bands, zero interest whatsoever. Well, at least most of them. Okay, I do really understand where these guys are coming from. Well, these bands, they generate views. Can't blame them for that. But I am kinda indifferent to most of these bands whatsoever. Well, mostly because their subgenres end with the word core. Number 10, I do not engage in random controversies about metal. I just listen to the music and enjoy it. I actually did notice that there are lots of debates regarding metal. Maybe around certain bands, maybe certain band members, maybe a subculture or whatever. There are debates, and some people are quite hot headed. I can definitely tell you that I mostly re listen to the music. I do not address the controversies, and yeah, I tend to stay away from them, and I simply enjoy the music. Who cares what everybody thinks? Number 11. Despite not engaging in the controversies myself, I mean, not commenting or anything, I sure love reading the comments and articles about the controversies or watching YouTube videos. Okay, there are different types of controversies. Some bands or songs or subgenres, they spark controversies by existing simply, and some because at least one member of a band did or said something. Believe me, in the majority of cases, well, not all of them, I am aware of the drama. I am aware that I also know what that musician or said. I also know in most cases what that certain musician said or did. Okay, I have a separate video about separating the art from the artist. Feel free to check that one out. Number 12. I read Blabbermouth every day. Yes, I read metal media every day, but every day I only read Blabbermouth. And sometimes I also check Metal Injection, Loudwire, and even Metal Sucks. I'm not aware of all news. Some news I simply scroll away and forget about them. However, some news they catch my eye. And yeah, I do really like reading metal news in general, because why not? Number 13. I own only two band shirts and I rarely wear them. My band shorts are really, really old and worn out. However, I keep them because they matter a lot to me. And yeah, I look casual. No piercings, no tattoos, and no tunnels in my ears. And yeah. Number 13, I only own one album, but I would love to own more. The deal is that it's definitely hard to find the CDs that I would want to own, and I found one album that I really enjoy abroad. It's Imaginations from the Other Side by Blind Guardian. Number 14. If a subgenre ends with the word core, then it isn't meant for me. Okay, this confession aged a little bit badly after I discovered Lorna Shore. However, it still stands. Yes, I discovered Lorna Shore and I appreciated them. But this doesn't mean that I'm going to dive deep into core genres, at least for now. No core genres for me, I only like Lorna Shore. Number 15. This is going to shock you, but I'm going to say it. There are two metal bands that scared me. Yes, that's true. These bands are Rammstein and Iced Earth. Why Rammstein? Well, because I thought that the music was way too brutal and aggressive at the beginning. And why Iced Earth? Well, because of the Burnt Offerings album, because it felt very dark, very cold, very scary. But these days I do like Rammstein a lot. Iced Earth, not so much. But I do like some songs. Number 16, I will choose traditional metal vocals over core growls at any day. Okay, I'm not stranger to extreme vocals, I heard them before, and the reason I added this point here is because I started listening to Lorna Shore, and okay, I'm not here to criticize growls or whatever. For the last 12 years, I have been appreciating the traditional metal vocals, which included balancing between singing and screaming, and then you have the extreme ones, and to this day I am adjusting to that. However, traditional metal vocals, they mean a lot to me to this day, and I do find them very inspiring and relaxing and uplifting and everything. I do know that extreme vocals, they also take a lot of time and effort, but I'd still choose the traditional vocals over core vocals at any day. I listened to some covers that Will Ramos did outside Lorna Shore, like Slow Dancing in the Dark and Rain and Dark Signs, and wow, this dude definitely can sing. Would be really cool to hear some traditional metal vocals from him. Number 17. Out of all the bands that paved the way for other metal bands, I mean the essential metal bands, I only listen to Black Sabbath and Iron Maiden. Yes, out of all the essential metal bands that every metalhead should know, I only listen to on a regular basis to Black Sabbath and Iron Maiden. I absolutely do not really like Judas Priest. Well, they're not my cup of tea at all. But of course, I love Breaking the Law from by them. And I think that Hellrider is an underrated Judas Priest song. And even when it comes to Black Sabbath and Iron Maiden, I mostly prefer the albums that made them. I mean that in the case of Black Sabbath, I mean their first 5 albums, starting with Black Sabbath, ending with Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, and with Iron Maiden, I prefer the 80s stuff. Number 18, metal in all of its forms dominates all of my playlists. Well, nearly all of them. You'd probably expect me to say something like, well, I don't listen to only metal, or I also have some guilty pleasure music, and yada yada yada. But I decided to turn it around and say that metal is the majority of music I listen to. It's not that I'm thinking, oh, I only listen to metal because everything else sucks, blah blah blah. That's not the case. It's just that 95% of music that I really like happened to be metal. It just happened. Well, I really like Half Alive and I like Kate Bush and some other music, so yeah. Number 19. My entry metal band was Nightwish. And number 20. I rarely watch music videos or live recordings. Music videos, I'm not exactly interested in them. I do really love Bismarck by Sabaton. This is definitely a very well made music video, and I also like some other music videos. Some of them they are very well made, but I still prefer listening to music other than watching the music videos and live recordings. And so that was 20 metalhead confessions over here, and I actually lied to you, because in this video there's one more confession. There's one more thing to confess. Well, I feel like a band that makes an album and also releases another version of said album with a bonus track. Here's a bonus fact. Confession 21, the real last confession over here. For the last few years, I have had one band on repeat. Absolutely zero shame whatsoever, because I like them. They're comforting. They feel very good. They make solid music, and yada yada yada. Why should I be ashamed of that? Do I listen to other musicians? Of course. Am I absolutely chill about listening to this band? Absolutely yes. Well, then I see absolutely no problem. They make me feel very good. Actually, on this channel, I have a video called Why It's Absolutely Okay to Stick to Your Favorite Band's Artists video. I recommend checking that one out. I made some solid arguments. I can definitely tell you that I can go discover other musicians, listen to a lot of different types of music, and then eventually go back to that one band because it feels like home, a hobbit home. And finally, this is the end. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make your own metalhead confessions in the comments. See you next time. Goodbye.